Time moves fast as we grow. That's what everybody says about getting old. But time is no different from the road. Lies still and quiet while we go. Time moves fast even if we don't. That's what everybody says, 'cause it's what we've been told. But if you really want to know, then you gotta move slow. All roads lead to another. Life is like the road. Time stretches on forever. It just changes as you go. I've been on the road for so long that I don't even notice the road I'm on. But I know if I ever feel lost, I just need to remember to pause.
Well, happy Easter, everybody. I have a question for you. When you were growing up, what church or synagogue did you go to? What's your history? What's your religion of family origin? I'm curious what's in the room. Catholic, Episcopalian, Southern Baptist. What? All faiths together? Methodist. Christian Science. Seventh-day Adventist and Christian Reform.
Lutheran, Episcopal, Catholic.
All over the place. Lutheran, Episcopal, Catholic.
Everywhere.
Right? Somebody said Hinduism? Yeah, Hinduism. There we go. Yeah, so here we are in the room, and I was talking to my wife last night, and I said, do you know the story of Jesus? She was brought up Catholic, and she said, I could tell you briefly that, he died for our sins, and he was born on Christmas Day, stuff like that, which really isn't accurate, but that's a lot of what has been taught to different people, right? Especially Catholic. I was brought up Methodist. So here we have a whole room of people, and we are center for spiritual living, which means we're looking at the spiritual aspect. And our theme today is the science of Christ. And it's not really the science, it's more the metaphysics of Christ. The metaphysics, meta means beyond, and physics is what is tangible and physical in the world, right? So beyond what is the physical. That's what metaphysics is. Ernest Holmes wrote about Jesus, and he said, Jesus was not the great exception. He was the great example. As a human gives way to the divine in all people, they become the Christ. The Christ means the anointed one. It means the blessed one. And each and every one of us are the blessed ones. We're all the anointed ones, but we've forgotten that we're all blessed. So instead of taking this story of Easter, I thought I would take a little bit of the history of who Jesus was, because maybe you don't even know. I mean, how could I assume that somebody who was brought up Jewish would be studying Jesus, right? So Jesus was Jewish. That's very true. Jesus was a Jew. Jesus was a Jew. And Jesus was born, and at the time he was going to be born, there was a king, King Herod, and the king was told in a prophecy from some magi that there was a new king going to be born, the king of all. And of course, King Herod was like, hey, I'm king. I don't want anybody else to be a king. So he decided the best way to eliminate this king was to kill him when he was a baby. So since the baby was going to be born, he knew the baby was going to be born. He went ahead and had all of the males, all the children and babies in his entire kingdom eliminated. He killed them all. Yeah, not a very nice dude. And Mary and Joseph, who were the parents of Jesus, were informed. They had an informant, an angel, somebody informed them that this king was doing this. So they escaped. They managed to have their baby not killed. So he fortunately survived, and there's not much that's known about Jesus' early life. There's not a lot that's known. It's kind of like there's sort of, in the Bible, there's chapters that are just completely skipped. So he was born, and then all of a sudden he's an adult. And during his later years as an adult, which he only lived into his early 30s, by the way, so his adult years, he was known as a great teacher and a healer. And the things he taught about were the things that we teach about here all the time, like love is the solution, not violence. Each and every one of us are aspects of God, aspects of the divine light. He taught all of that. He had people who were what they called the lepers and the whores of the time period, which people would shun and not talk to and talk nasty things about, and he would welcome them into his house. He said, everybody's the same for me. I love everybody equally. And so he had all these really great lessons, but they were radically different because he said that each and every person is connected to God, that each of us has God inside of us and we're connected to that. So he said that 2020 years ago, right? So a long time ago, before we're starting to now catch on in quantum physics, understanding the fact that we are all connected and we're all part of God. Well, at that time, it was a threat. It was a threat to the current religion. It was a threat to the kingdom, because people were starting to come. He was starting to get pilgrimages. He started to get disciples. People are following him around. They're like, wow, he's got something. He's got something special going on. And he decided to get baptized. Now, baptized didn't have anything to do with being a Christian, because obviously there were no Christians back then. It had more to do with cleansing your body and your soul and your mind and reconnecting yourself to your spiritual aspect. And so he got baptized by John the Baptist. And then later on, he had this time period of wandering the desert. What they said, it was 40 days, 40 nights. Could have been 40 years. Nobody knows. In the Bible, 40 days, 40 nights means a really long time. They just use that term for, if you're going to be away 40 days or 40 nights, that just means you're away for a really long time. So he goes off into the desert and he encounters temptations. And these are things that cause him to stray off of his path. And then he reconnects with himself. He decides to recommit, not be tempted by all of those things that have him stray off his path. Comes back and he's really clear, like what he's up to in the world. He's up to really spreading the word of love. Spreading the word of love. And he finds out that the king wants to kill him. And then he thinks, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. So he gets all worried and concerned, and he kind of goes off into the desert again, and he's seeking clarity. And as he's seeking clarity, it's like, hey, is what I'm standing for worth dying for? Right? Like, what if, I don't know, the president of the United States or another king was trying to kill you because of what you were speaking, right? What you were talking about. Because I would say, Kathy, you're a divine person, and I want to empower you and awaken you to your own divinity. And then somebody wants to kill me for saying that, right? It's like, whoa, really? Should I be doing this? And he gets clear. He's like, you know what? I really think that no matter what, this message is worth dying for. So whether or not the king has bounty on my head, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. So he knows that his days are probably limited because the king wants to kill him. So he has this Last Supper with his disciples, which is on Good Friday. And on Good Friday, he hangs out with all his disciples, and he tells them how much he loves them. And right after that, one of his disciples, Judas, betrays him and says, hey, king, we know where Jesus is. And he gets sold to the king. And then, lo and behold, he gets taken away and he gets crucified, which means that they put him on a cross, and he died on the cross. 3 days, so he's in this, they take the body down, they put it in the tomb. And the tomb is like a rock cave where they have like a rock, door. 3 days later, the door is discovered open. And people he knew, like his mother and his disciples, he comes to them and he says, hey, I am alive. I'm still alive. Even though I died, I'm still alive. So he goes to them and he's renewed and he has a new life. And because of this message, this is the message of Easter. This is what Easter is. Easter is the day that he's discovered out of his tomb. And he's out talking to people, reconnecting with them, spreading his message of love again. And that's what Easter is all about. It's about a renewal. So that's the story of Jesus, if you were wondering, in a very small eggshell. And so I just wonder if maybe you can think about this story, recognizing that the events that are so important in the Christian faith allows us to see those events as a metaphysical interpretation for the spiritual meaning and principles that are about our own personal life. If you're walking the path of awakening towards your connection with the divine, you can utilize the story of Jesus' life as your own story. That's what the metaphysical interpretation does for us. So, for instance, have you had a divine birth? Were you born into this physical body? Yes. Yep. That's a divine birth. It's a miracle. Everybody who's born, it's a miracle that you're born. Everybody here is a miracle. Have you had a Herod figure in your life? Somebody who wanted to deny your uniqueness. Somebody who wanted to tell you what a bad person you were. Maybe there's somebody that you wanted to fly away from and you wanted to run away from. Have you had any moments in your life of baptism where you feel something inside of you that's calling forth to cleanse and renew yourself and recommit yourself? And have you had times in your life of wandering in the wilderness when your purpose was dim, when you had moments of temptation to give up your resolve, where maybe what you thought was right, you just couldn't figure it out? And then the voices of doubt that have come within each and every one of us, you were able to overcome them and get clear on what you really want. Have you had recommitment to your own life to live the life and mission for which you were born? Perhaps you've had times of deep questioning and doubt, wishing to want to get out of your own assignment, wishing that you didn't have to face what you have to face in order to move forward in life. And have you had betrayals? Somebody close to you betray you. When everything seems to fall apart, maybe even times of crucifixion, where your life is literally dying, where everything you knew falls away. Have you had a time period in the cave? I've been there recently. Time period in the cave when things were happening and you were just not aware. Everything seemed dark, damp, sad, where there's no hope. And then have you had experiences of grace and the power of renewal, where you have been lifted up, rewoven, and your lives reborn at a new level? If you answered yes to all of those, then you have experienced the story of Jesus' life as your own life. You are the Christed one. You are the anointed one. His story is your story. And we can all connect with that and realize that we all are on this path of renewal and upliftment to each other. That maybe the things, the teachings that were inside of him are inside of each and every one of us. Whether you're Hindu or Jewish, whether you're Christian or Catholic, it doesn't matter what religion of origin you are. What really matters is there a message in it that you can apply to your own life? And maybe you're having those kinds of experiences right now. You see, Easter is a power of a story of a spirit that lives deeply within each and every one of us, within our individual lives, our cells, our bodies. It's captivated in us. It's an allegory that we're living out. It's our own personal hero or heroine's journey that we're having. And so if you find yourself at any point in those life, in any of those points in your life, you can recognize that the story's not over yet. That perhaps there may be parts of you that are in the tomb right now. Perhaps there's parts of you where you think there's no hope, there's no possibility of redemption, of renewal. But there is. You know, what's interesting, which I wasn't even going to talk about, but the story of the devil about being a fallen angel, really in the storyline of the devil, and what happens is the devil is an angel who's fallen, who comes in contact with the divine. And the devil has forgotten who he really is. And at the end of the story, the devil isn't destroyed. The devil recognizes the truth of its own being. That's each and every one of us. We may have lost our path. We may have gone off course. See, maybe right now you're having a job loss. I don't know, anybody lost their job in the past before? Maybe they quit their job. Either way. And instead of seeing that experience as you being in the desert, maybe this is an experience of you being led and guided towards where you truly belong, to people who love you, because you were given gifts. Within each and every one of us, we were given gifts. It's like we were born, this whole birth package. It's like we were born with unique gifts and talents. Everybody has unique gifts and talents. Everybody. But if you're not utilizing those unique gifts and talents, you may be feeling that call, that pull towards something different in your life. This is just a barometer. It's a barometer. We're either being pulled towards our truth, our greatest expansion of life, or we're being pushed. And it could be one or the other, but either way, it's Spirit guiding you towards your highest and greatest good. I had that experience. I had a job one time And I had a boss who was very challenging. She caused me to cry many, many times. It was very stressful, very hard. And it was at the time whenever Gina and I got engaged and we were going to get married. And so I asked for the time off a year in advance, and she denied me my wedding time off. And I thought, well, there's a year. I gotta find a new job. And it did. It took me 8 months to find a new job. And the interesting thing is that new job that I got, I had the best boss I've ever had in my life with the new job. She's amazing. But I needed to have this other boss in order to get the clarity to move on. Because I would have stayed there. But really, it was that one thing where I got to shine my gifts and light, and where I wasn't seen for it, that caused me to move on, that allowed me to have this amazing experience of my life where I had an extraordinary boss and coworkers. Or maybe you're having illness in your life right now. Now, illness, I don't know about you, but whenever I'm not at my best self, it gives me clarity in my life on what is important. Ever had that, right? Whenever you're ill, you get clarity in like, what really is important? So the illness is just an opportunity for us to get clarity on what's important for our lives. Or perhaps you're having a financial imbalance in your life. Things just seem like they're always going the wrong way, right? Well, perhaps the financial imbalance is an opportunity for you to be open to learning the different modes and modalities of life in order for you to see how abundant you really are. Because each and every one of us, we have the gifts of abundance. We have the gifts of health. We have the gifts of spreading our love and spreading our light into the world. But part of the journey is discovering it. Part of the allegory, Jesus' story would be really boring if it was just like, oh, he was born, he was the king of heaven, bam, we're all done, It's much more entertaining if we have these challenges and the difficulties that give you the clarity and the insight, and then you want to move on. And, it's that pushing against is the gift. The pushing against is the gift. So if you're having the pushing against in your life right now, perhaps it's a gift to give you the clarity of where you want to be. Perhaps it's that thing that's causing you to awaken to where you are wanted, loved, appreciated, adored. See, our friend Billy, who walked into those doors, he thought life was terrible and awful. But then he came to realize the beauty of who he is. And that's how each and every one of us are. We don't even know that there's some place where we're wanted, where we belong. But that's there for everybody. And if you haven't found it yet, it's out there for you. Because each and every one of us deserves that. Not only we deserve it, but it's created already for us. But part of the fun is finding it. What if there's no adventure in our life? What if we didn't have to grow or learn anything? Boring, yeah. What if God just decided to put a surprise button, like surprise poke, Do you want the boring button or do you want the surprise button? Boring, surprise, boring, surprise. I picked the surprise button because it's more fun. Ernest Holmes said that God has given us a power and we must use it. It's the silent power behind all things, and it's ready to pour into our experience that which we need. We simply need to unify with it. Declare our word to the presence, power, and the activity of the one. Speak the word with this belief in this power. It's already here. We just need to discover it. It's like electricity. It's here. We've discovered it. Hallelujah. So I ask you on this Easter day, what inside of you is stirring? What is pushing against you in order to cause you to move to that next experience of your life? You see, today is a wonderful day to celebrate those resurrected parts of our life. And if you have any part of yourself that's been resurrected, you know that that same truth is applying to each and every one of your other parts. And so maybe there's aspects of your life that are in the cave. They won't always be in the cave. Maybe just having that kernel of faith, of knowledge that this life is not destined to be a terrible thing. It's destined to be the awakening, the cracking open of our own emergence, of our own story. And so take yourself on this week. What if you are the hero or the heroine? What would you be stepping into? What newness would you be taking on? What courageous act would you be doing that might make you uncomfortable? But isn't that uncomfortableness the pushing against? Anything new. Have you ever done anything like super brand new and have it be like super easy? Usually not. It's like I'm still learning how to sing, and like I'm trying to sing. It's so uncomfortable for me. It's really hard. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to keep doing it so I can learn to stand into that power. Maybe you've never drawn before. Maybe you've never spoken publicly before. Whatever it is, take it on. Try yourself on for a while. Maybe there's so many undiscovered gifts and treasures inside of you that this whole life is here. How many more years do you have to discover newness about yourself? Be an explorer into your own life and be the resurrected one. Just because maybe you're having some time in the cave does not mean you're not going to come out of the cave, okay? Because we never do. That's what the springtime is about. That's what this time of year is about. It's about rebirth and renewal. So take it on. Be reborn today. Tell all your Christian friends, hallelujah, I was reborn today. Thank you, Jesus. And then we can all go like spring chickens and yay. But I know that today is a day for us to be transparent, for us to reach our own transcendence, and for us to love life anew and be renewed within it, because we are resurrected. This is the day that we have been created for. Today. Now's the moment. So do that thing. Be that courageous being. Are you willing to do that with me? Yes. All right. And so it is. Whew. Oh, thank you. Oh, let's pray. I'm so grateful to know that there is something extraordinary that is happening in this room. It is this thing called life, and it is in my body, it is in my mind. I know that the spiritual awakening of the universe that is awakening to its own brilliance, its own light, is within me. It's within each and every person here, that there is something that is shifted in each and every one of us, that is opened. That while aspects of ourselves may be having that time in the cave, that it's just the time to be nurtured, to be renewed. And so I also know and claim that as I am being nurtured and renewed, that there is something in the universe that is conspiring for my greatest good. And so I accept this greatest good in my life. I accept it, I know it, I claim it, I embody it, I am it. And as I accept this for myself, I accept it for each and every one of us. As I step forward into my life, I take on this life like a warrioress, like a heroine. Like each and every person here is the hero and the heroines of this entire planet. That we are awakened to the power and the joy of our own gifts. The gifts of love, the gifts of light, the gifts of creativity. That power and the presence nurtures each and every one of us. And so I take this life on as an adventure. I know that today is a day of renewal, of revival, of vibrancy. And so as I take on this day of renewal and revibrancy, I know that I am catapulted into that next level of experience. I welcome this newness. I welcome this growth. I welcome this spring chickenness. I know it is good. It is joyful. It is powerful. And I know that it is moving in and through me and in and through each and every person here. And for that, I am grateful. I'm grateful for the love. I'm grateful for the abundance. I'm grateful for the awakening. I'm grateful for the parts of me that are still in the cave. I know that that's part of the adventure. And so I open myself up to the depth and breadth of this feeling, this depth and breadth of newness in my life. I welcome it. I claim it. I declare it. I know it's already done, and for that I am grateful, and so it is.
And so it is.